You're listening to the New York Sports Show, the #1 all New York sports podcast. Hosted by Dominic Konareski.
The Zach Wilson era is officially over. New York moves their former second overall pick of just 2021, so only 3 years ago, over to the Denver Broncos to move up some 50 spots from the 7th round to the 6th round in this upcoming NFL draft, which is not even a full 48 hours away at the making of this video. Zach Wilson had a disastrous time in New York, but is also what the Jets did not give him and how they set up Wilson that ultimately led to his downfall. The people who say that the Jets are the reason why Zach Wilson failed, they are partially right. But let's look at Zach Wilson for a second. He came from a very soft Division I school of BYU, where he was a mediocre, at times an average quarterback up until his final season, where he had a very easy schedule, beating up teams like Navy and blowing them out, even though in those games he could not even hit 350 passing yards, so it was just more of an overall BYU offense that made Zach Wilson look good. Going into his pro day, he was not even looked to go in the first 3 or 4 rounds, and now seeing him play in the NFL, we could all agree he shouldn't have even gone top 5 in the first 5 rounds. Meanwhile, though, he has a great pro day with an amazing throw, and his draft stock skyrocketed. It's kind of similar to what's going on with J.J. McCarthy right now. So Zach Wilson goes 2nd overall. Many argued saying that he could have went 1st overall. Instead, that went to Trevor Lawrence, though, who has at least made the playoffs for the Jaguars, but has overall been an inconsistent quarterback. That whole quarterback draft class is a very weird one, and one that I feel like you could deem overall as a failure. So you have a rookie quarterback paired up with a rookie offensive coordinator and a rookie head coach who up to that point was a defensive coordinator whose defense lost the Super Bowl, because remember, Robert Saleh was the 49ers defensive coordinator when they lost the Super Bowl to Patrick Mahomes several years ago, blowing that lead. He wasn't even supposed to play this most recent season because the Jets got Rodgers. They had no true backup option. So with that said, Zach Wilson had to get into the game 75 seconds into week 1 because Aaron Rodgers suffered that season-ending Achilles injury. And then they made Zach Wilson the scapegoat for a few weeks, had Tim Boyle play, realized Tim Boyle actually played worse than Zach Wilson, and then brought Zach Wilson back and said publicly, yeah, we're trading this guy before the season ends. Zach Wilson dealt with so much on the Jets. I'm not a Zach Wilson fan. I was when we drafted him. I just don't think he worked with the Jet scheme. But you cannot put the full blame, though, on Zach Wilson himself, because he showed during many points during his Jet tenure that he is a very, very solid quarterback. And, I mean, the way that the Denver Broncos QB room is now, he could very well be the starter in Denver for week 1 unless they go out and sign, a draft, a true starting quarterback. But nevertheless, Zach Wilson is a very solid backup on any team in this league. I'm Dominic Konareski. The Zach Wilson era is officially over, and it's an era that many people would not be looking back on, including Zach Wilson, with a smile. It's all frowns in Jet Town.